Hello and welcome back to my ongoing series looking back at the greatest television show ever made, Community. This is just another guy talking about stuff, and today we examine Community's second episode, Spanish 101. Spanish 101 debuted a week after the pilot on September 24th, 2009, and garnered a viewership of 5.39 million for the night. The title of the episode begins a recurring theme, as the next 3 seasons would premiere with an episode titled after the class the group was taking. We also get to hear the show's amazing theme song for the first time. The show allows the audience to explore these characters in a little more detail, although the focus still remains mostly on Jeff, Britta, and Pierce. The show starts with our study group waiting for Jeff to begin studying, even though Britta suggests they can start without him. When Jeff does arrive, he's greeted with applause and admiration from the group, almost mimicking the cheers a sitcom star would get from the live studio audience when entering a scene. Abed, of course, plays his role of hanging a lampshade on it, and we get to see Britta's concern for him not being able to distinguish reality from television. If she only knew how the rest of the series would play out. Another character we get to see more of is Senor Chang, played brilliantly by Ken Jeong. Dr. Ken Jeong. Most of you probably know the story of Dr. Ken, who was a comedian and doctor of internal medicine before his breakout role a few years prior to Community in Judd Apatow's Knocked Up and his performance in The Hangover. He also had a very memorable performance as the LARPing King in David Wayne's Role Models. The few minutes he gets to shine in this episode are just incredible and gives just a peek of where this character will be headed as the series progresses. The fact that this relative minor character would break out as one of the series' most entertaining personalities is a credit to Jeong's ability as a performer. But that's enough of me praising Dr. Ken for now. I'm sure I'll have plenty of more opportunities in later episodes. Spanish 101 sees Jeff teaming up with Pierce for a class assignment after each of them traded away their original partners. Jeff traded his shirt to Abed for a chance to be partnered with Britta, but what he didn't know was that Pierce then traded his card with Britta in order to get the chance to spend time with Jeff. Britta was happy to oblige him. Thus begins the Jeff-Pierce one-sided romance. The show has immediately established Jeff as this uber-likable man about campus that Pierce either thinks of himself as or wishes he could be. The self-awareness of Pierce's actions aren't quite established yet, and to be honest, I'm not sure if they ever are. You can tell in the early episodes they were trying to establish a relationship between Troy and Pierce, kind of playing up how the two characters of opposite backgrounds have somewhat similar ideologies. If you know the show, then you know that the natural chemistry between Danny Pudi and Donald Glover would force those characters together dramatically, changing the Troy Barnes character. Here we get a Pierce Hawthorne desperate to impress the unimpressible Jeff Winger through his enthusiasm for the project, despite Jeff not really caring. He only cares about coasting to a passing grade so he can move on. A fun little Easter egg here is when Pierce asks Jeff, "What is a story?" we see Pierce draw a circle on the board, an obvious reference to the story circle. Watch my first video if you haven't already for more information about what the story circle is. Our B story for the episode follows the girls of the study group as Annie and Shirley are inspired by the socially conscious Britta to protest the murder of Guatemalan journalists. At first, Britta is upset by the party-like atmosphere of the protest, not giving it the proper respect for such a serious issue, but then she realizes that at least they've drawn some attention to the issue, while she hasn't accomplished anything. The hot take here is that while some people might be informed and care about social issues, they ultimately don't do anything to confront those issues. Britta may have had an activist past, but she isn't doing the actual work anymore. Hot take number 2 is that while Shirley and Annie might be spreading awareness of an important issue, their lack of understanding leads to things like them creating a piñata out of a journalist that was beaten to death. Not exactly the most tactful of sentiments. While their hearts are in the right place, their actions are ultimately futile. The stories come together when Jeff leaves Pierce to join Britta in a silent candlelight vigil on campus. A drunken Pierce comes out to chastise Jeff as Abed hangs a lampshade, remarking that conflicts like these will ultimately bring us together as an unlikely family. The scene ends when Pierce accidentally sets his arm on fire trying to punch Jeff. The next day in Spanish class, Pierce is prepared to present his project alone, but Jeff, feeling guilty after Britta told him how much Pierce offered her to switch partners, joins him, and we get a montage of an over-elaborate but nonsensical presentation that Senor Chang grades an F and an F-. It doesn't seem like it was all for nothing, though, as after class, Britta seems to be impressed with Jeff for perhaps having a heart after all. We also get to hear one of my favorite songs used in the show, Daylight by Matt and Kim. The music used in Community is always on point, and this song is no exception. And so ends the episode, but we get our first post-show tag of the series, and it's a memorable one. Troy and Abed on the couch rapping random Spanish phrases to each other. Apparently, show creator Dan Harmon saw Donald Glover and Danny Pudi freestyling at a red carpet event and realized how much chemistry the two had. This, of course, led to Troy's character changing throughout the season, and we'll explore more of that when the time comes. For now, Community is still just trying to find its place. The group, and by extension the audience, are still getting to know one another. We'll see plenty of Chang in them throughout the season. Being just the second episode, it's still pretty memorable for fans of the show. But honestly, not too much actually happens. We're still mainly focused on the three characters of Jeff, Britta, and Pierce. The rest of the ensemble is just kind of there. Senior Chang actually probably gets the most spotlight out of anyone else besides those three. Like I said, the show is still finding its place. Still finding a voice for these characters. I promise you, we will get there. So this has been Just Another Guy Talking About Stuff. Please give a like or a comment, or both even. Subscribe to the channel by clicking that subscribe button. Just do all the YouTube things. Until next time, witty sign-off catchphrase.